Okay, what did we sketch last together, my friends? If you don't know, this is my Sketch the Met project where I take a random image from the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York and sketch one thing every single day. I think together um, we looked at maybe this Japanese print last. Since then, of course, I sketch every day. This guy is adorable, or my version of him is. I need to put up on the screen so you can see what the actual one looked like. It was a little bit scary. And also, you see, like sometimes the sketches are really, really rough. This was rough. I went back in on separate occasion and added some color. So that is not what this Mary Queen of Scots portrait looks like at all, but that's what I was able to do on this day. Yesterday I had this etching, which was beautiful, and then I realized it wasn't this tempestuous sea storm, it was a shipwreck. So I just barely got out to the ship and ran out of time. Yeah. So let's take her on together. And what are we going to draw with today? I don't know. I'm going to start with this that I grabbed, my Caran d'Ache Luminance. This is, wow, what color is that? Anthraquinoid pink. Okay, so I don't lose my image, I'm going to write down the object number. And I'm going to do it right here. So 63.350.208.145.3.120. That is a really long number. Maybe that's why I get all these photographs. They must have so many in the catalog that they just keep coming up. Okay, let's put you down on the tabletop. I have a lot of really beautiful morning sun, so that's not helping. Let's put her over here so I can see. I'm going to draw here. And yeah, okay, that is better. Now it's kind of like you're right here with me over my shoulder. All right, I'm going to lightly draw in the outline of her, and she's standing and saluting at us. So I'm going to look at some basic proportions first. 1, 2. I'm going to do the height from the bottom of her boot up to just under her knee. So if I make that like this high, and then measure with my hand right onto the page. 1, 2. So the second measurement of that goes right up under her waistcoat. 1, 2, and the third measurement of that goes right over her belt and where her hand is sitting. So her hand will sit there. And then let's see, 1, 2, 3. The third measurement of that goes right into the middle of her ear, which is not helpful. What else can we? It's kind of the middle of her nose. 2, 3, and then this one will go to the middle of her nose and sort of the bottom of her ear over here. And then for the top part, okay, so then about half of that height takes me to the top of her top hat. So this is her height. If I want to use that measurement, kind of to get her width, I can. It is broader than her shoulders. So that is where her hand goes. And then this one goes up to her ear, so her shoulders are going to fall in here. And if I'm really taking this into account, so this will go into her waist, right? And the arm actually will kind of, I think it would go off the page, but we're going to shorten it a little bit so that she's on the page. Okay, then just so we're all having some fun with this together. Do I want to paint it in? I've got my gouache here. I don't have any water. I guess I'm not going to use gouache. Let me use the Neo color to sort of block her in. So this is the top of the hat, right? Why did I put the ear over here so far? This is her little head and neck. And then the shoulder, right? Why was I initially drawing her so with such broad strokes? Okay, she was too wide there. And then this arm comes down. And then the coat comes out like that. There she is. And then the leg comes in, and the other leg. And then finally the top of these boots. And then there's like a little lip. And the first boot comes out like this. And the second boot is on sort of a side angle. And I've got her kind of blocked in, although this hat is somehow, I messed something up here, but that's okay. We're going to move forward with her. I like her. All right, I'm going to use my brush pen, and I do like to draw in pen. I think if I wasn't sharing this with you right now, I would have just gone in with pen from the beginning. That I've taken the time to block it out kind of makes me nervous because I can see already where there are things that are wrong. And I feel like I would better connect her arm with this salute if I had not blocked her in and somehow gotten caught up with this measurement. But we're going to go forward anyway with my Tombow brush pen. And I try not to be too critical of these. Oh, the brush pen on top of the Caran d'Ache is interesting because it's kind of waxy. Just got a little decor item there on top of the hat. And so the bottom, I don't want to do this wrong because I feel like I know what a hat is. So that's the thing with symbols is often instead of drawing what we see, which is the brim of this hat goes down and up like that. And then here, and then the hat comes up. But somehow, when I see this hat, I want to do like this like shortened cowboy hat kind of thing that I feel like I know, oh, that's a hat, but that's not exactly what this hat looks like. So that's where symbols come in and drawing what you see versus drawing the symbol that's in your head. Okay, so this goes up and over, and then we see quite a bit of her hair peeking under, and then here's where her little ear is. And a little bit of hair over here we see, a little tuft of hair, and then we see her eyes. And then not much until we get to the nose. We're gonna do, oh, I guess we are doing this outline of the head and just a hint with the lips. At this scale, I can't really get too detailed on her facial features because they're so tiny. And then the neck. And she has a little collar that I did not quite get. And there is, this goes in and back out. And this is kind of shaded. I can't exactly see what that looks like. And then her shoulder is popping out behind it. And this is where we get several little wrinkles in the arm of the jacket. And then the jacket juts up this way to get this. And the jacket goes this way, but the cuff of the sleeve is further in. And then finally, the gloved hand is at a completely different angle. So we have the and then she's got an index finger out, touching her brim of her hat. So there, and then that, see, I didn't quite connect it. No worries. The point is, I see it. Not that I actually did it or didn't do it, but I can see it, what's going on. Okay. Little buttons on her jacket. 2, 3, 4 buttons. And then we get a hint of a belt. Belt goes in, out, and then there's a hand resting here. And we get not the entire hand, just the hint of that and the cuff of her sleeve. And then I'm going to do a couple shapes in here to get this because she's got these great folds again. Now the Tombow pen is slipping along the Caran d'Ache Neo color. That's a Neo color, right? Yeah, Neo color too. So if I add water to that, it becomes like watercolor, whereas this is permanent pigment ink. So if I add water to this, I don't know what kind of sloppy mess might ensue. Okay, arm, elbow, and yeah. And then this is wonderfully shaded. Her arm there. And then if we want to do some shading, I'm just gonna add in some shading. And then the bottom of this comes out, stops actually a little bit shorter than I did there. And here, get another little shaded part, and here, kind of a foldy crease. I wonder if I can, I don't want to get into that, but obviously I can smudge it with my finger. Okay, and then the most prominent line here is right there between her legs. And because the Caran d'Ache was slippy sliding on this, I need to sort of wipe some of that crayon off the tip of my pen in order to get a black line again. Okay. And then the leg comes in, and after the knee comes back out. This, we barely see this line here. And then here is her top of her boot. I don't know what this is that comes along the calves, if it's actually part of the boot or not, or it's just some like costume piece. Interesting. And then comes the actual foot at the bottom, which is always a little bit tricky with angles. But I'm just drawing what I see. And this foot comes out like this. Okay, so here she is. Can I get any more detail in the face at this size? So this is tough because if I zoom in, I can see her little blurry face. But here, what little lines can I add that will actually help make it look a little bit closer to her true form without just looking like a little cartoon face? Yeah, it's hard. All right, so I added a little bit of detail. Let's zoom in. Oops, that didn't work. Okay, so if we look a little bit closer, I added a couple more marks. Okay, I added a couple more marks to her face. It really doesn't add, let me let go of this. I added a couple of marks to her face. It really doesn't add, in my opinion, to the likeness of her. I'm not really getting her likeness in the face, but I think I'm happy with where this is at. So you see from my initial underdrawing how I had the arm come out. I was slightly off with the proportions, but I think that this was a great daily draw. Overall, she was fun. She looks official, and sort of for December, she's kind of Christmassy. She's like our little tin soldier, our little cigarette selling soldier. All right. Thanks for joining me. This is fun.